the Colossus and Juggernaut 2-pack, one of the literal best things to come out of the 80-year collection, because, and I've talked about this many times on the channel, I have a real problem with Build-A-Figures. In fact, it even has its own video on the channel to specifically talk about that, and this fixes an issue I've been dealing with since half a Juggernaut. Love them or hate them, these lines, these Build-A-Figure lines, will often give you a figure that people want. Like Juggernaut. Makes sense, right? He's ridiculous, he's huge. You would consider him to be like more value. Heck, this top half of him is easily as much plastic as Power Princess or almost anybody else over here on the shelf. Heck, this is enough plastic probably to make a couple of Masterverse figures if you're talking the female characters. So like, right, it kind of makes sense. You would sell these as bigger figures. But I would like to call that out and say no. See, here's my thing with it. This guy right here, I kind of get it. He's a big giant figure, he's a Build-A-Figure, he makes sense. You look at him and you say, well yeah, they had to break him up across the line so that we could pay the normal money across the line and then end up with basically a free figure. First off, he's not a free figure. The cost of the Build-A-Figure is equated into the cost of the normal figures, because oftentimes the extra $5 or so to buy all of the Build-A-Figures to buy all the figures in the line for the Build-A-Figure ends up meaning that his price was marketed in anyway, so why couldn't they just sell him as a standalone? Basically, this is a catch-all situation that's been running in the industry for a long time now. You pay the money to get all the figures, to get the one figure that you were gunning for in some cases, that's Juggernaut. Now, when that wave came out, I liked a couple of the figures. I bought them. I ended up with half of a Juggernaut. I never ended up with the whole Juggernaut. And I didn't want to buy figures that I didn't want or characters that I didn't want to complete him. Until I did. But then I went looking and they were just overpriced. And then I said, I'm just not going to have a Juggernaut. It's just not going to happen. I've done an entire video talking about my problems with Build-A-Figure waves already. I'm just kind of talking specifically about Juggernaut now. And of course, in the annotations, if you want to hear my thoughts on the overall ideas of the Build-A-Figures, you can. But see, this right here bothered me immensely. And I also knew that I always wanted a Colossus. And I knew that they'd already done this pack before, and I missed it. So I sat here for a very long time with half of a Juggernaut that literally sat on top of my radio. And for a long time, I thought that's all it was going to be. Because, as we've argued on this channel many times, you spend $20 here, you can't spend $20 there. There is a limit to the amount that we can spend on toys. At least most of us, I would assume. I would assume most of us have an income and we're somewhat stuck to it and we can move things around here and there, but most of us cannot have every single item that we want. We have to leave certain things behind, which I would argue is one of the things that keeps this collection hobby interesting. You can never have everything, and where you choose to put your $20, $30, $40 is going to be different than most other collectors that choose to put their $20, $30, $40 somewhere else. There are guys that are hardcore G.I. Joe guys that all of their money goes towards only G.I. Joes, and there is a grass is greener type of situation that happens with this, where people say, oh man, yeah, I don't buy those Jada figures, but they look really cool, or whatever. And then we get on and we watch other people with massive collections. I watch people that have, like, these unbelievable Marvel Legends collections. Like, they've got everything, man. And it just blows me away. Like, and I love them for it. I really do. That's the reason I follow them, is because they know more about it and they have more than I do. But I also would argue that the same guys that I would marvel at could walk in this room, sit down, go across my shelf, and find stuff that they passed on, never bought, never had a shot at, and may never own, because their money is often already allocated towards the next project they're working on, and they've already missed their opportunity for one thing and can't go back. And then there's the aftermarket, which we also fall into oftentimes, where things like this end up, and they start asking for ridiculous prices like $300. And you go, no way! But every now and then, our patience pays off. We wait. We take our time. We cross our fingers. And sometimes, these figures that are impossible to obtain either get a remaster, a remake, or a straight re-release. And as far as I am aware, for the most part, this is a re-release. I want to say they added this head and the broken helmet, but I could be wrong. I don't have that information 100% on hand, but I do know these two figures were released at one point, and if you didn't get them, you didn't get them, and they were costing a ridiculous amount of money on the secondary market because I tried to obtain them at one point. And now, finally, all of us that missed our chance, the chance rolled back around. And when I got the notice, it was during a live hangout, and I know I haven't been doing them. I've been doing OT, and I'm also dealing with a couple of other issues that have kept me from being available Friday nights. But I am coming back to do them. It is set that I'm going to come back and do more hangouts. But that all spoken, when I was doing the hangout and somebody said on the hangout, that Juggernaut Colossus is up, I ordered it. I ordered it. I was like, oh, I cannot lose another opportunity at the Colossus Juggernaut pack. And here it is. And these are two figures that I have waited a very, very, very long time to add to the shelf. Let's unbox it. Oh, and for what it's worth, the box is pretty cool. I'm not going to go like I normally do, but look, because there's no cross-sell here or anything. There's this, and then the sides of the box have cool artwork that represents the two characters. The top of it is this really cool Marvel logo. The bottom of it is all the information. It's a decent window. It would be really good for inbox collectors just to put this somewhere, and I think they'd have a good time with it. I think that full open window boxes are great for inbox collectors, but I'm one of them dirty openers. So I'm going to wreck the value of this thing right now and hold the figures in my stingy little hands. Let's do it. All right, here we are. These are big boys. Let me just say right off the bat, this dude is heavy. Like, this is one of the heaviest figures I have literally ever held. Like, ever. In terms of just solid, action figure. That dude is heavy. Since I don't have the legs, this is hard to determine. I mean, I guess without just popping his top off or whatever. But as far as I could tell, I can't prove this. I wonder how much difference those legs make. Because this guy feels like he could actually be heavier. Maybe those legs make a real difference. Yeah, I don't know. Those legs could make a real difference. They could be super heavy plastic. But, finally, this guy, because you could argue that you like the colors better on the Build-A-Figure, and you wouldn't be completely outlandish to do so. Everybody's going to have their own thing that they like and their own thing they don't like. And you could claim that the face was maybe better on the Build-A-Figure, because here's the face. He did have actual eyes, and his teeth are kind of nasty and gnarly, like they're not perfect white or whatever. And the darker colors do say something, but for me, and I could argue that I could argue there's parts of the face that I like more, but I don't mind this face. I really don't. I like this extra face that we got here. I think that's a really good face. I think it works very well. I love this broken helmet. That's really, really cool. And overall, like looking at him, I actually like these colors more. I like this color more than I like this super dark color. I really do. It's just a preference though. You can like whatever you like, but it does not bother me at all to think that at this point, this guy, his half a man, is finally pointless. I don't have to hang on to him anymore with weird dreams that someday I'm going to complete him, because I wasn't. From the beginning, I never was. And I don't have to pretend anymore. I don't have to pretend anymore. So, first off, these hands are about ridiculous. I mean, they're so big. He has big, big expression hands, okay? So, there's that. He also came with 2 expression hands, or grabbing hands, however you want to put it. They won't hold much. And 2 fists. He come with the extra head that we talked about, and he came with that busted helmet, which I really do like this busted helmet thing. I think this is really cool. So, first off, him, he feels sturdy. I mean, he feels sturdy. That's the best way I can tell you. But he is a big boy, and big chonky boys, big buff chonky boys, they come with one main problem, aside from not fitting in the full camera frame. They don't move well. Yeah, we got T-poses and things like this, but when you're so big, you can't scratch your back. Like, you need help. Like, that's the price you pay for being a big, big boy. But they are cool. I've never been in to, like, big giant figures. I really like, the head's got a lot of movement. Oh, what kind of, we do not have double knees, so we don't have the kind of knee that's like, this is it. This guy will never kick his own butt. He requires help even to scratch his own ass. He can't do it, okay? No matter how far back maybe we could get a butt scratch. If we had the right hand, he might be able to scratch his butt if he really puts his heart into it. He may be able to butt scratch. that's gonna be the best that he's gonna get. And speaking of butt, you got a big old, look at that. He's got that big old juggabutt. Okay, buffo juggabutt. That's the best front kick you're ever gonna get. But that's a straight up Incredible Hulk second movie kick right there to that dumb guy that's like, is that all you got? Well, he learned the hard way, didn't he? Otherwise, he's got kicks. Look, he moves for what he moves for. He's got a decent rocking ankle, a lot more movement on the foot than you would expect, in all honesty. For a big, huge guy, his hand just flew off. Not broken. Just I wasn't expecting that to happen there. I pushed on his hand at just the right angle, and it popped off. No problem. See? No problem. It's not that his hand was loose. It just so happened that I was trying to push this up, and there's a decent amount of resistance because he's a big boy, and I broke his hand right off. I'm kind of glad that happened on camera though, because that was fun. It was stupid and it was fun. Next, because I like him, I think he's absolutely fantastic. Next, let's see him. Guys, once again, we got the, oh no, this guy has the double legs. He can't quite do it. He's almost there. He can almost kick his own butt. A lot of movement. We got the thigh movement here. We don't have thigh movement on this guy necessarily. Not in the same way. I mean, it's there, but it's a different kind of system than it is just like a brake that kind of moves. We do not, however, have the double on the arms. So he does have a great limitation on the bicep here and whatnot, where what he's going to be able to pull off in terms of that. This is my favorite Colossus design ever. It is quite literally my favorite Colossus design ever. He has big old hooker boots, and he has a one-piece swimsuit, and he's absolutely fantastic with his big old metal plates. People always talk about the ridiculousness of female costumes in comics. And all I could say is that in the 80s, we were showing off bodies, okay? Like, I'm just saying that I know there's a bit of a double standard. I'm not gonna speak to that. But what I'm gonna say is, guys, every single time I hear someone talk about female costumes in comic books, I think about Colossus and this. Like, I think about this. Like, come on. It's not that it wasn't happening to both sometimes. And look at that Colossus booty. Wow. He puts some of the girls in the line to shame. He's got a butt. I love this guy. I do. I absolutely love him. Look at that. Let's check his big old metal spectacular. Look at that. He's a handsome man, this big old metal guy. This is actually really good. I'm really impressed. This is a dang good face, man. That's a dang good face. He doesn't look up very well. He can brood like nobody's business. Look at that. He's straight up, he's a broken neck guy. Can you look up? Yes, you know what? This guy has crazy movement because of the way that ball joint works. This guy's like a freaking owl. I'm so... Look at that. Look at this right here. I'm so conflicted. Like, holy crap. This dude broods harder than Batman. What's up there? Okay. I've made my decision. I love these figures. I do. I absolutely do. These are big boys. These are big, fun boys right here. I love these figures. I do want to do something, though. I want to see them next to a couple other big boys, and then we'll move on to whatever I have to say. All right, I put some space in between these big boys here. Let's see. First off, Power Princess. She's a big girl, and she is, believe it or not, in the lines, she is bigger than most of the other females in the line, and it works really well for her too, because a lot of her sculpting is solid in terms of like her muscles and stuff like that. She works wonderfully, and I really like the scale here. These are some of the biggest boys of all the big boys, and she still looks imposing because of what she is. She works. That's a solid figure. I'll any chance I get to talk about her, to kind of sneak her into a video, because I didn't do a direct video for this when I did her. That was during one of the Hangouts. It was requested that I do an opening during the Hangout, and she won, and I opened her up during the Hangout. That happens every now and then, so not every figure on the shelf gets a direct video. Sometimes it happens during the live Hangouts. Not too often, but it does happen. There are a couple of them that ended up like that, so she doesn't have a direct video or direct link anywhere on the channel, so I like to sneak her in from time to time, and she looks good amongst these guys. Next, let's check out the biggest girl. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's nice. I like that. Am I the only person that's like just really into this? That looks great. This is nice. And it really gives you an idea of just how well thought out this girl right here was. They didn't mess around about putting her in the line, man. They really thought this out. She's almost, I mean, she's just barely less tall than Colossus. Colossus beats her out, and it's not by much, man. Colossus is big, and he's got about maybe an inch on her. Literally, if it weren't for her big hair, she would be even shorter than Colossus. Is not by much, but that works for me, man, because she's still literally the biggest girl in the Marvel line that I can think of. If you guys know somebody that's bigger, shout it out, let me know, because I actually wouldn't know. But as far as I know, she's the biggest girl in the Marvel line. She looks absolutely terrific. I mean, they really pulled out the stops for this one. That's my favorite She-Hulk that they've done so far. And I guess I don't have a whole lot of expertise in terms of how many She-Hulks they've done, but she's just absolutely fantastic, man. And she looks absolutely great here. Next, let's go ahead and check out The Thing. I want to see my favorite bruiser standing amongst two Goliath bruisers right here. Here they are, guys. Oh, I love The Thing. This is The Thing from the Black Suit line that came out, the Future Foundation looking people. Well, that's not fair. I mean, yeah, it is. It's the more modern costume is what I'll say, because the Future Foundation I associate with the white uniforms. Personally, even though I think they were still technically Future Foundation when they went to the black uniforms, but I like these modern uniforms. I like the Black Suit Fantastic Four a lot. I really, truly do. And I think he looks great. And you gotta think, Ben is actually, he's referenced as one of the smaller big guy bruisers, and he's been made bigger over the years. Over the years, Ben has actually increased in size, and I don't remember if they ever gave a reason for that in the comic books, but he was like smaller for a long time. Like, he was actually smaller than this even. He probably would have been about this tall, in all honesty, if they would have kept him in the original size, because he was like a small, wide rock man. And then they made him grow, and then he was the tallest guy on the Fantastic Four. Then he was like a towering, hulking figure. And I've always kind of liked that. And to see him here in the more modern size scale, he looks really good next to these guys, but is still a smaller bruiser as compared nowadays. All right, back from a battery change, and let's get the last two guys in here. One, I want to see the DC Multiverse Atrocitus. Look at that guy. And I thought he was awful big. When I got him, he was also in one of the hangouts. I did an entire opening of the Atrocitus Build-A-Figure wave. I opened like every single figure. And even when I put him together, I was like, this dude is tremendously big. But because of the scale difference in the line, realistically, take this Atrocitus, and if he was to match in the 6-inch scale, which is what Marvel Legends is, as opposed to the 7 or possibly even arguably 8-inch scale, because you could argue one way or another. I'm just saying that Batman and other characters and like that, they're standing awfully tall is what I'm saying. Even characters that you wouldn't imagine would be that tall, if you're actually like in the Marvel Select, like look at him. He's as big as Colossus. Kyle Rayner, I don't see it. Maybe I would have to look it up in reality to see where I think he would stand. He should not be that tall. But their entire line is this big, is what I'm trying to say. But if you put him next to Batman, he's as tall as Batman. And I actually don't think that's right either. He's also as tall as Superman. That line has scaling issues. And so I would imagine you need to take at least 1 inch. I feel like he should be as tall as Juggernaut if he was in the 6-inch wave, because he is supposed to be big. But even because of this, you could take Atrocitus and you could set up some photos with these two guys fighting, and I think that you would get away with it because he's so big, but he's actually bigger than I would like him to be. That's just natural to the size of the line that he comes from, but I just thought that it would be neat to see him. And let's see a 7-inch line. Let's see the strongest man in the universe here. How do you think that scales? Big beefcakey men here. You think that's decent? I don't mind that Juggernaut is bigger than He-Man. Actually, it doesn't bother me in the least. I'm actually fine with it. I don't know. I'm fighting with myself about Colossus. Should Colossus be taller than He-Man? I mean, this is a 6-inch scale, so if you make the argument that Masterverse is a 7-inch scale, then He-Man would actually, by that argument of size, then Colossus would actually be way bigger than He-Man. Because if we were to scale He-Man at a 6-inch scale, then we got to take at least a full inch off of him in terms of this comparison. Like if we were doing 6-inch scale figures for the He-Man, but I actually don't think so. Even if they claim to be, I want to say that He-Man Masterverse is a 7-inch scale line, arguably. And I would argue that the DC Multiverse is, by McFarlane Toys, is also not actually a 6-inch line or 7-inch line. I would actually argue they're an 8-inch line set of figures. But that's all a video for another time if we were to make those arguments at all. Anyway, I just wanted to see some big boys standing next to these new big boys. And from what I could see, I'm actually very happy with these guys. Like, these guys are terrific. They really are. They're absolutely terrific. This is yet another example of Marvel simply stepping up its game. Like, Marvel Legends has just all of a sudden made a decision to bring out classics, to reimagine them, to fix issues like the fact that nobody can obtain certain guys. I guess I didn't mention, this is very much an old figure. I mean, I did say it was a redo, but like you can blatantly tell because he's got all the pins and everything like that from the old figures of these waves. These guys are not redos, they're not remakes, they've come back out. They're a resupply of figures that we simply didn't have a chance at. Some of us. And you know, looking at things like Danny Ketch, holy crap, that's good. Like they really, like one line, like one figure after another right now is top line. Like, I would argue that there's been a massive increase in quality since the Black Widow figure. And probably I could tag that back even a little bit before her, but since the Black Widow figure, we have gotten some really, really solid Marvel Legends. Ultimate Captain America, the collector Captain America that came out. We've got absolutely fantastic Spider-Man. We've got Spider-Man. We've gotten some. I mean, we got Power Princess. Some of the people in her line, like, I'm talking. It's over and over and over and over and over. All of a sudden, I'm buying Marvel Legends. I mean, guys, to put this into perspective, I have one shelf up there. That's Marvel Legends. One shelf. And for the longest time, it was not full, and it was in... there was no danger that it was going to fill up. None. No danger at all. I had zero concern that I would fill that shelf. Because every time I put a couple figures on there, maybe I would take one or two off of there. I replaced this guy, or I got this guy, or whatever. And, like, I had no worries whatsoever. Now, all of a sudden, the Marvel Legends shelf is getting tight. Like, the real estate is running out. And I just added two big boys that are going to steal real estate. Right after adding a superior Spider-Man that took some real estate himself. Like, but it's, I mean, all of a sudden, it seems like figure after figure after figure after figure is showing up. And they're not small time. Like, they're taking space. And the space they're taking, they kind of deserve to have that space. I had to move a couple of them off onto the top shelf. Because all of a sudden, some Marvel Legends are coming out. And they're just top flight. They got an absolute kick to their complacency. And they realized pretty quick they're no longer the top of the totem pole. We have new players in the market that have stepped up the game. And if Marvel Legends wants to play ball and not lose its spot, they have to do the same. That's what it feels like happened. I can't prove it, but it certainly feels like that's what went down. Anyways, guys, we've added these characters to the shelf now, and boy, these guys are fantastic. Like, I am absolutely thrilled to have put these guys on the shelf. I'm gonna get out of here.
I have spoken. Take
what you will from it.